Only mode.
Well, hello and welcome. This is Claire Jarrett coming to you today courtesy of my clients names.co.uk and Register 365 who've invited you all here today. So can I just do a quick sound check and screen check? Would you mind typing a yes in if you can both see my screen and if you can hear me clearly? Right, fantastic. That's lovely. Thank you. Lots of yeses. Brilliant. Okay, so to start with, who am I and why am I qualified to talk to you today? Well, I've been training small business owners in the art of Google since 2008. When I built up my own web marketing agency, taking it to over 400 annual clients and 8 members of staff before selling it last year. And now mainly I concentrate on coaching other business owners. So we achieved some great front page rankings for our clients in some really competitive niches by using some processes, some of which I'm going to be showing to you today. So I've been invited here today by Names and Register 365 to pass over some of my knowledge on to you so that you can benefit. So to start with, what is SEO? SEO is the art of optimizing your website so that it appears on the front page of Google in front of people who will then ideally buy from you. So most of you have come through today because you're clients of Names or Register 365, which means that you must have a website even if it's not finished yet. So if you've got a website, then you're going to want to get it found so that people can use it to call you or buy from it. So why would you want to choose to do SEO? Well, if you want to get sales from your website, you've got a few different options. These are Google AdWords, which is a form of pay-per-click where you appear in the adverts on the front page. So you pay for those and sometimes quite a lot. You can also get sales from your website through social media, although you do need a proper strategy and the time to dedicate to that. Whereas with SEO, SEO is partly to do with how you set the website up, some of which I'm going to be talking to you today about, and partly to do with the links that you build to it. So what I'm going to be doing today is showing you how to do both of these safely. So I just want to clarify that this is being recorded and I will make the recording available. I'll tell you at the end how to get hold of the recording. I'll take questions at the end. I can't promise to answer all of your questions, but I will answer as many as possible, and then we do have a Facebook group where you can get questions answered as well. And I do sometimes get asked why I haven't entered full screen mode for the PowerPoint presentation. That's because I'm going to be jumping in and out. You know, you're here today to learn about Google, so I don't want you're not going to be sat here watching a PowerPoint presentation the entire time. I'm going to be jumping backwards and forwards, so I just don't bother entering full screen mode. So here's the things that we're going to be covering today. We're going to be covering how to identify keywords to get your website found by Google and to focus on for your SEO. So picking keywords that are going to bring sales, not just traffic. How to build links safely without getting penalized by Google. The exact processes to follow for getting your website ranked fast, which is the same ones that we developed in the SEO agency. How to analyze your competitors and spy on their strategy. And then some next steps for learning or mastering SEO. Okay, so to start with, what are the main problems with SEO? Well, as some of you will be aware, Google changes constantly. It's always changing. It's always being updated. There's always animal updates being released, such as Panda and Penguin and the latest one, which was Zebra. And sometimes, and some of you may have been very seriously affected by these updates. What can happen is your website can actually drop off the front page completely after an update. This might be because you were accidentally using dangerous techniques. Perhaps you accidentally caused it. Perhaps the SEO company that you were using was using dangerous techniques. Perhaps they were doing some dangerous link building, so we'll be covering that later on. It might be that it sounds so complex, even just the terminology might be that it sounds so complex to you. So what I'm going to be doing today is to help demystify as much as possible of this for you over the next hour. Okay, so what actually happened with the recent updates in Google? So what happened with the main ones, Panda and Penguin? So Google is the top search engine in the world, and it wants to stay that way, not surprisingly. So it currently has at least 90% of the market wrapped up, and it got to being in that position very clearly because it's the best at delivering relevant content. So that's its ultimate goal, is to deliver relevant content. And I'm sure many of you will remember maybe a couple of years back or a few years back when you were searching Google, you would come across a lot of very poor quality sites which were gaming Google, and they were getting to the top without being at all relevant to the subject you were searching for. So Google was trying to get rid of these because people were obviously not enjoying the type of websites that they were finding. So what it did was it developed some updates which would remove these spammy type of websites and spammy content. But the trouble is some good sites got hit at the same time because of the type of SEO that was being done on their sites. Thousands of websites dropped off the front page overnight, and some people's businesses were, very badly affected, unfortunately. Lots of websites got penalised for poor quality content on their site, or mainly it was poor quality content that was being pointed at their site through bad quality link building. They even got penalised for the wrong type of links if it was being done through automated techniques. So basically, SEO has now changed, and it's no longer about this type of spammy content or spammy link building. You now have to be very, very careful with the type of links that you build. So now the main focus is on building a brand. So now it's a lot more about making sure that you've got a brand built around your website so that people are in volume, so that lots of them are searching for your company by name. You can help build your brand by using social media, so we'll be talking about that more later on. What Google wants is proof that you've actually got a really high quality website that it's going to be proud to send people to. It didn't like all of these hundreds of spammy websites that were on the front page. It wants proof that your website is a good website. So you need to have good quality content on your website, and that might be in the form of your blogs, the content that's written on your pages, and the type of links that you're building. So it really does want to see far better quality content, and that means that you won't end up getting penalised. Okay, so to start off with, how to identify the keywords for working on for your SEO. So there's a number of different keyword research tools that you can look at. So there is the Google Keyword Planner tool, which is very similar to the keyword tool, and it's one I'm going to be demoing today. There's also a second one that you could use, which is called Word Tracker. And what you're going to be aiming to do is pick around 6 keywords per page. What I see a lot of people do is they pick far too many keywords per page. So they might try and pick 30 keywords that they're going to try and optimize their homepage for, and then wonder why it doesn't work. That's not possible. You're going to be picking one primary, so one main keyword per page, and then 5 secondary keywords, so 5 that are less important. What you might realize at this stage is that if you can't fit 20 or 30 on one page, you need to create new pages. And that's something that we often have to do, is recommend that new pages will be created. Something else you can also do is, if you've got a Google AdWords account running, then you can actually look to try and find the keywords that are currently bringing you sales, because those keywords are obviously going to be good to target for from a sales perspective. You know those keywords work. So, okay, let's go and jump into the Keyword Planner. Now, the Keyword Planner, let me just zoom in a minute so that it makes it a bit easier for you to see. Okay, I'm going to try and go quite slowly, because last time I had comments that people couldn't pick up from the recording afterwards, because people watched it back from the recording. They couldn't actually pick up what the tools were that I was using quite clearly enough, so people emailed me afterwards. So I'm going to try and go through it quite slowly so that you can pick up the tools that we're using. So what I'm doing is I've gone into Google, I just typed in Keyword Planner, and then the top organic link, okay, so you can see there's no AdWords links, there's no ads here. The top organic link would take us into the Keyword Planner, okay. The other way of getting into the Keyword Planner that we're going to be using today is by looking in your AdWords account. If you've got one, you would go to Tools and Analysis, and then Keyword Planner. Okay, and both methods will take you into the same thing. Now, just as a bit of an aside, just to point out to you that the keyword tool was retired, so now you do need to have an AdWords account to be able to get into this. Even if you're not actually spending any money, you can still get into the tool. So I do think it was a way of, I mean, people were skeptical about this, thinking people were being forced by Google into having an AdWords account, even to be able to do organic keyword research. Quite possibly some truth in that, but we won't go into a discussion of that now. Okay, so I've gone into the keyword planner, and let me just zoom in a minute so that it's nice and clear for you. The option we're going to choose is to search for new keyword and ad group ideas. Okay, and we're going to be aiming to pick 6 main keywords per page. So what I would do is I would start off by entering a product or phrase that represented what I did. So let's say that we were going to look at keywords for a locksmith in London. Okay, so I've typed in locksmith London. I'm not putting anything anywhere else. Okay, you can see it's already set to the UK because obviously that's where my location is. I'm quite simply just going to click Get Ideas. Yes, this is a very simple tool to use. Okay, when it works, come on then, catch up with me please, Google. Thank you. Okay, so what you want is, you don't want ad group ideas because that's for AdWords. You need to now at this point go to keyword ideas. And what it will do is it will come up with a big long list of keywords that you can then download if you choose to, or you can look at on this page. Okay, so what I would do is, if you wanted to download them, there's the download button just there. Can you see that? Okay, and that would allow you to download it and play around with it in Excel, which some of you may prefer. So what I would do is I would go and open a Word document. Okay, and then I would start off by trying to pick 6 keywords for the home page. Okay, so the home page is normally the most important page, and I would be looking. The bids for SEO purposes mean nothing at all, so you can just totally ignore those. Nor does the competition, because that's AdWords competition. So just point out to you that you can ignore these completely. The only thing you should be looking at really is the average monthly searches. So locksmith London is getting an average of 1,900 searches per month. So that would obviously be a good keyword to target for the home page. So if I was to type in locksmith London, and at this stage we would normally record the number as well. So this is what our agency does. Emergency locksmith London, that's a good keyword, 260. Okay, so emergency, I could have copied and pasted it, of course. Whoops, and I would keep scrolling through. So we've got locksmith East London, that's got 170. Okay, and then I would keep looking through until I had about 6 keywords for the main page, for the main home page. So locksmiths in London, that was 210. Okay, so what you're seeing is me doing a live keyword analysis as if I were doing this for a client. Now at this point, obviously I've not gone all the way through the list. You can see it would be very easy to accidentally end up with too many keywords and to you'd be a little bit overwhelmed with far too many keywords to decide on. It would, it's quite hard to pick the 6. So what I would probably do is I would say, right, okay, these are going to be for the home page, and the home page, I would make the home page be about just the generic locksmith London keywords. Can you see that? And then I would also then think, right, okay, if we've got a lot of people mentioning emergency locksmiths, I need a second page on the website which is going to be for emergency locksmiths, and that keyword belongs on that page. You can start to see now how I'm actually going to divide the keywords into the different pages. So East London page, okay. So at this stage now, if I was to go down, you can see, right, okay, I probably do also need a Central London page as well. Okay, so Central London page. Okay, locksmith Central London, how many was that? That was 70. Okay, and then I would keep scrolling down that list until I picked 6 decent keywords for each page, and I'd identified quite a few new pages that I would probably need to add, okay? And then obviously you would then need to go back to your web designer and ask them to add new pages, or if it's in WordPress, you can just add a new page yourself. And that would be how I would do the keyword research using this tool, okay? So I would just have picked all of the keywords from this list. So what are the best keywords that sell? So the local keyword example we've just looked at, people do tend to use keywords that include the place name if they're then going to pick up the phone and call you. So if you are a florist, an electrician, a plumber, a local business of any kind, the best keywords for you are the ones where people mention the place name. So it's going to be florist Bristol, locksmith London, etc. Okay, those are the type of keywords that will bring you sales or leads. If you are an e-commerce website and you sell, for example, children's clothes or children's items, the best type of keywords for you so you would do a slightly different keyword search. You would enter, for example, skip hop luggage. You would identify longer tail keywords. By long tail, what I mean is they are several words long. So see this phrase? This phrase here, which is 4 words long, that's a long tail keyword phrase. So you can see that it says red skip hop ladybug luggage, okay? Those type of keywords, very specific keywords for SEO, are going to be the easiest to get to the top for because they're longer, okay? There's going to be less people optimizing for them, but they're also very specific, so they're more likely to bring you sales. Okay, so try and identify a long list of relevant keywords for your e-commerce website. What you don't want to do if you've got an e-commerce website is be targeting short tail competitive keywords. See these? Dresses, women's wear. Not only are they going to be very, very difficult to compete for, these type of keywords do not represent buyers. If somebody's just searching for dresses, they could be looking for any type of thing. They could be looking for any type of dress. It might be something you don't sell. They could just be looking for pictures of dresses. They don't know what type of dress they want. They don't know what style of dress they want. You know, it's not a buying keyword. So the more general short tail keywords, normally if it's just 1 word long, those are far more difficult to optimize for from a competition point of view, and they're also unlikely to be buyers. Okay. Right, so we've also then got some examples of some keywords for services. Okay, so here's a couple of examples from one of my websites. So we've got this, for this page here, which is a sub-page, my primary keyword is AdWords courses. Then I've got some secondary keywords here, and let's just have a quick look at them. AdWords introduction courses is a secondary keyword. Courses on AdWords, secondary keyword, but look how I've also then on the same page, I would also then have some local optimization as well. AdWords courses London, AdWords courses Bristol, which was the 2 places I was running the courses, and the same with SEO. Okay, so we would always pick a primary keyword and then up to 5 additional. You can see here I've got a total of 5 for this page, here I've got a total of 4 for this page. So you would normally go up to around about 6, just as a general rule. Okay, so fantastic. Let's imagine that you've now got your keywords and you've selected them all. What do you do with them? Okay, so we're now going to go on and look at the next stages for what you would actually do with your keywords. Okay, so here's the places that you put it. So you get your keyword and you put it in the title tag of your website. Now the title tag, so at this point I'm not going to go into how to actually place it on the website because that's a technical issue, normally best actually given to your web designer. So literally you just give it to your web designer, please place this title tag for me. Okay, so I'm not going to go into the technical side of things. What I'm going to go into is how to actually create the tags themselves. So what you would want is the title tag. Now the title tag is what you would normally see. Okay, can you see I'm pointing, I might not be very clear, but you normally see it right at the very top of your page. Okay, so you can see this one here says Google AdWords Keyword Planner. Okay, so it's the title tag that you see at the top of your page. And it would normally be up to 70 characters long. So let's imagine we were writing the title tag for this particular, for these keywords here. Obviously I've only got 2 keywords in this stage. I would probably have researched a couple more. Okay, not title page, sorry, title tag for the page. That makes more sense. Okay, so it's normally 70 characters long, or up to 70 characters long. Now the title tag is where you make sure that you write a sentence that makes sense to people, but it includes your keywords as well. So for example, it might be something like, let's make up the name of a locksmith in London. So let's have MC Locksmiths in London. Call now on 020, and then just make up a phone number. Okay, something like that. Now the reason I've put a phone number in is because obviously for locksmiths it's all about getting the call. People are in an emergency situation, they need a phone number quickly. If yours was a children's wear shop, so let's say MC Children's Wear, for toddlers, something like that. Okay, we might have something like great ranges of toddler clothes, for example, something like that. Okay, so you can see that I've then actually written it into a full sentence. Now with the title tag, you want your brand at the start. Okay, remember I was telling you that it was mainly about branding in Google's eyes. So with the title tag, the advice we used to give a couple of years back in my SEO agency was that the most important keywords belonged at the start of the title tag. This is no longer the case. With the importance of brands, in your title tag, you now want the name of your company or your current brand. You want Google to realize that that's what you're trying to promote. That also looks less spammy. So you put your brand name at the start. You make sure you've got your main keywords in here, okay? And you then make sure it's under 70 characters. Now, if you are using Word, a little tip that I like to use is I highlight the full sentence, okay, and then there's a little button down here at the bottom left-hand side of Word that says words 12 out of 45, but look what happens if I click it. It will actually tell me how long that phrase is. So characters with spaces 73. Okay, so if I close that, I would then need to take out three characters. So okay, so I'll just go and edit it like that. So you see me live editing the title tag. Okay, so that's the title tag. Okay, so you'd give that to your web designer for placing, and you have one of those for each page that you're optimizing. So this isn't just the home page. Every one of these pages, so in this example here, Emergency Locksmith London page would have one. So would the East London page have one? And each title tag would be optimized for the keywords we were going after on that page. Okay, so that was the title tag. Now on to the meta description tag. Now the meta description tag is very important because, let me just type in an example. Let's stick with the locksmiths in London. Okay, so it's not the ads nor the map results. This is the meta description. Okay, so the meta description that we're about to create now is up to around about 165 characters long. You can see theirs is slightly too long there, in this example. And the reason it's so important is because you can see it actually appears next to the result in the Google search engine results pages, otherwise known as SERPs. So because it appears here, you need to be extra careful about how you word it. But you can also word it from a call to action point of view, as in a locksmith example, for example, you would actually want to say something like, located in the heart of London, London locksmiths are a 24-hour emergency locksmith. Call now on 0207, or you can see their number there, for example. So that would be how I would have suggested that this company would have worded theirs. And that would mean that they would be more likely to get a call directly from the meta description as well. Okay, so you also, I just want to point out to you as well, I'm not sure if you can see it, if it's going to show up on your screen, but I typed in, the search I did was for locksmith London. Every time Google's found the word London or locksmiths, it's placed it in bold. I don't know if that's showing up on your screen. That's because Google wants to point out to you that, look how relevant my results are that I found for you. It also means you're much more likely to get a higher click-through rate as well. So that means you're going to get more people clicking it, and that's what Google wants, is people to actually find the results they're looking for. So it stands to reason it's important to get your main keyword into the meta description as well, same as they have. Okay, so they've got the keyword phrase London locksmiths, they've actually got that here into the meta description. Okay, so let's go and type in a meta description tag. So let's go back to our locksmith London example. So London locksmiths, oops, just help if I spell locksmiths right. London locksmiths have been established since 2007 and can reach all areas of London in under 30 minutes. Call now on 0207 blah 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 with an exclamation mark. Okay, then let's just do a quick little test to check that that fits into the 165. Okay, so let's go and count it. 129 characters, so you can see that that would easily fit. Okay, so that's how to write the meta description tag, and again on each of your pages it needs its own meta description. So that would need to go to the home page, the emergency locksmiths page, the East London page, the Central London page, etc. So you'd need to apply that back to your own example. Okay, so that was the meta description tag. The next one to look at is the keywords tag. Can you see how I've put a note there that that one's optional? That's because there is proof that Google don't actually look at this quite as much anymore. That's because it was one of the things that got really badly spammed. People used to just stuff the keywords tag with loads of keywords, and then Google would automatically put them at number one. You know, those were the days many years ago. But now, as a result, it means Google doesn't look at the keywords tag hardly at all, but there is some evidence that Yahoo and Bing still do. So we do still normally include it, although it's entirely up to you. So the keywords would then be, so keywords equals, and then it would be locksmith London, okay, comma, then locksmiths in London. Okay, and this, you would be able to send this over to a web designer and they would know exactly how to place it. You know, they would know exactly where to put it. And again, with the keywords, you would need to do that on each of the pages. Okay, so those are 3 places that you use your keywords. Other places you would also then use the keywords are on the subheadings of the page. So, you'll notice that you quite often on the front page of a website you normally have a subheading at the top, which is often known as a H1 tag and then sometimes broken up throughout the copy with H2 tags. So let me see if I can just let's go and look at this example here. Okay, so you can see how, just trying to think which one's a heading tag there. I'm not 100% sure which one's a heading tag on there. I'm going to jump to one where it's nice and obvious for all of us rather than just picking a random one. Okay, there's a nice one. This is a good way of popping a H1 tag on a page, okay, so otherwise known as a main heading. So what you could do is have a nice realistic looking sentence. So welcome to Top Lock Locksmiths in London, cool, blah, 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 blah. That is a really nice heading tag. because you can see they've got the keywords locksmiths in London in there, in the main heading. Okay, so you would have a main heading like this for each of the pages and get it, the main keywords in that subheading somehow. But also it's nice to see a H1 tag that's well written, that doesn't look really spammy. So it just says welcome to blah 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 blah, and then it's also got the phone number as well, obviously because from locksmith point of view they need the telephone number on there. So let me just grab that one because I do really like that one, so I'm going to go and pop that onto my page. So this would be H1, okay? H1 means it's the main top kind of subheading. So H1, okay. So, and then I would just, you would just alter the wording of that however you wanted to, so that it suited your circumstances. Okay, and then you can also then have further headings throughout the page, breaking it up. So, for example, you could have our locksmith services. You could have other subheadings throughout the page, which would then be known as H2. Let me just change all this format back to the proper one. So H2 tag might be call our locksmiths today. Okay, basically you're trying to get other mentions of the keywords in there. So it might be call our London locksmiths in there today. Okay, so you can see that we've got further subheadings throughout the page. Now, probably just one H1 tag and one H2 tag, so one main heading and one subheading, would be okay throughout the page. You don't really need to stuff it full of heading tags, so that would be all you would really need, to be honest. Okay, so that's the subheadings. Now the final one, which must not be overlooked, is you need it written within the text on the page somewhere. It's amazing how many people try and optimize a page for a keyword and they haven't actually got it written on that page anywhere. So it stands to reason that what you need to do next is go and edit the page copy, the text on the page, so that it includes the keywords. So here's what we do when we take over for clients. We just grab the text. In fact, I'd probably grab all of this text. I would copy that. I would type this down here like this. So home page copy, paste that in there. Probably going to, I think I accidentally grabbed the image at the same time. Delete that one. And now what I would do is go and edit this copy ever so slightly so that it includes the keywords we're optimizing for. So let's say, for example, we wanted to get the keywords locksmith London in there. I would say, you want to see what top locksmiths London can do for you to help with any problems you're having. Blah, 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 blah. This locksmith service is located in the London area and is reliable. Where else would we put it? One of the best things about the top locksmiths in London is the fact you don't have to pay them to come out. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing is I'm editing the page copy ever so slightly, but then I would also then reread it to make sure that it makes sense. Obviously, I'm doing a very quick example here. You would take some time over this, get the keywords in there exactly if possible, so that they're not separated with the word in or the word the. You know, try and get the keywords in there exactly if possible, because that way they will have more power and Google will recognize that that page really is about those keywords. As a general rule, try and get the exact keyword in there once or twice if possible. I'm not a big fan on measuring keyword densities. There's all kind of posh tools you can use where you can check the density of keywords, etc. I don't normally tend to use those type of tools. All I do is I use my eyes, my common sense. I rewrite the copy on the page so it's got the keywords in at least once, ideally twice, and that's it. Okay, and at this point, this would be all you would need for the on-page SEO. At this point, I would send this document over to the web designer and ask them to place it on the website. Okay, so at this point, this is the on-page. The majority of it is now done at this stage. Okay, so that was the on-page. So now let's move over to what you would do next. So we're imagining now that that's all been placed, your web designer's placed that for you. On to the second stage, which is then going to be building links. Now links count as votes within Google. So the more votes you get, the more popular Google thinks you are, so the higher it ranks you. It's as simple as that. But it's also to do with the quality of the links as well. As I was earlier speaking about, spammy links, hundreds and thousands of spammy links aren't going to do your website any good. So what we don't want is lots of duplicate content. What do I mean by that? So duplicate content is when you would have hundreds of identical articles placed for you around the web, which are all exactly the same, and then there's links back to your site, for example, something like that. That would be a bad example of building links. The type of links that you would want to build would be genuine links on profiles such as social networking, so Twitter, LinkedIn, your Facebook pages, that prove your real business, not surprisingly. Okay, so if you've actually got an active Twitter account, an active LinkedIn account, and you're actively updating your Facebook page all the time, Google sees you're a genuine, real business. Plus, it means that you'll help build the number of brand-related searches for you. If you're doing a lot of social media stuff, people are much more likely to hear about your brand. They're much more likely to go to Google and type in the name of your brand. The more brand-related searches you get, the higher Google ranks you as well. Okay, so that's why social media helps. Now, one of our favorite ways of building links safely is through something called guest blogging. Now, guest blogging is when you create a blog for somebody else who owns a blog, and you're giving them free content. So you contact somebody who owns a blog and you say, would you be interested in receiving a blog from me on this topic, for example? Normally a guest blog does need to be high quality so that the blog owner wants to accept it. Normally needs to be at least 500 words and always has to be brand new. So what you wouldn't want to do is reuse something that you yourself have already got on your website. So it needs to be absolutely brand new so that it doesn't get penalised for being duplicate content. Now, in return, the blog owner will normally allow you to have a link to your website at the bottom. And one of our favourite places, or one of our favourite ways of finding places that will accept guest blogs is by using this technique. Okay, now I'm going to send this to you all in the chat box for those of you that are logged into this through a PC. I'm not sure if people that are on to iPads or iPhones watching this will actually be able to see that, but hopefully you can see what I just typed in. Okay, I'm just going to stay on the screen for a second. As I said, I wanted to make sure that people who are watching this from the recording can see what it is that I've actually said. So it's right for us and then baby, or whatever your niche is. So let me go and show you that in practice, because that sentence probably doesn't mean a lot to you at the moment. But let's say that you were running a baby website. Say you were advertising baby shows, or you sold baby clothes or something like that. You would want to find blogs that had a page which said "Right for us." So yours would say "Right for us" and then whatever your niche is. So yours would be "Right for us baby," "Right for us security," locksmiths for example might do, "Right for us tradesmen," electricians might do, etc., that type of thing. So think of your general niche. So "Right for us baby," okay. And what it will do, so I just run the Google search, and what it will do is it brings up lots and lots of blogs which actually have pages where it explains we accept guest blogs, contact us and get in touch and we'll consider publishing your blog. So let's go and look at this one for example. So smartbabynews.org has a page, "Right for us. Thank you for your interest in writing for Smart Baby News. Always in need of fresh features." Oh, so that's quite a long one that they want there. 1,000 to 1,500 words, and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so obviously it's got to be good quality as well. So this would be an ideal website to contact if you were in the baby niche. So you would just send them an email, contact them through this form saying, "I've got a blog that I'm considering writing, which is on, I don't know, 10 top tips for helping your baby sleep through the night," or something like that, something which would be of interest to their readers, remember. And you ideally then contact several of these and you start getting guest blogs published on their site. Now, okay, let me just go and show you one of these in, actually as it exists, as it's placed. So this is one of my blogs. Okay, so I own lots of blogs which I use for various niches. So this is one of mine, which is called couplesadvice.com. So I've been accepting people's blogs in different niches, which is to do with relationships and relationship advice, etc. Let me show you, this is what it will look like. Some of you find it difficult to imagine what a guest blog actually looks like when it's in place. So, okay, so here's the blog that's been placed. Okay, you can see they also included an image and sent that across to me. Okay, now the bit that I want you to notice is here's their link back to their main website. Okay, so we've got the blog, which will be up to around about 500 words or so. We've got an image, and then at the end, this is the important bit. So this bit, okay? So let's go into more detail now about this bit. This bit you can ignore because that's an image credit. This bit is telling us more about the author, and this is where you would put your link. So it would say something, your name, blah, 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 also blogs about this, this, and this, and then you then get a link back to your website. Now, most of the time, I would suggest following what she's doing in this case, which is just having a link back to the website, rather than using anchor text. So anchor text is, let me see if I can find an example where we can see one with anchor text a minute. Okay, so anchor text is where instead of it just linking and showing the website name, you have some keywords above the link. Okay, so that'll make more sense if I can find one. My internet's going slowly now because obviously I'm demonstrating. I'm using up lots of the bandwidth running the webinar. Okay, there we go. There's an exact, there's some anchor text. Let me zoom in a minute so you can see that. Okay, so this article was written by law-abiding citizen, a former undercover reporter, on behalf of Minnesota criminal defense lawyers. So that's the keyword they're targeting. So what you could do is have some blogs that you publish which are linked back to just your www. Whatever the name of the site is. You could also then have some, only a handful I would suggest, of blogs which you get placements on where you then make sure that you ask for an anchor text link. Okay, so the anchor text is where you put the keywords. Okay, so in the examples we've been looking at today, that would be London locksmiths, locksmiths in London, something like that. And then you can see, hold my mouse over it, can you see bottom left hand corner is actually saying riverslawyers.com. So that's what's called anchor text. Okay, so that's my suggested way of finding guest blog slots, but then you can also use social media to find link partners. So I quite often pop a message out on Facebook and say, is anybody interested in having a guest blog from me? Normally I get at least about 20 takers or so from people that want a guest blog, and then I spend the next few weeks fulfilling those requests. So that's the type of thing you could also do. Maybe sending out requests through Twitter if you've got a network of people that are in the same type of things as you, using Facebook and Twitter to find people that you actually know that would be interested in getting blogs from you. Okay, so right, my next link building tip. Okay, I'm just sorry, just checking that my notes haven't nearly got out of order with my notes then. So the next link building tip is to try something like this. Okay, so this little piece of code that I'm going to send you, in fact, let me copy this one. Okay, so I'm going to send this one across to you. So what this does is if you type this piece of code into Google and you replace the word locksmith with whatever your niche is, okay, so let's say ours was the baby niche, similar to the one we were just looking at. Now what it does is it searches Google for places where you can submit your website. So that's what this code is doing. It searches Google, whatever the text is between those brackets, so that would be your niche, baby, locksmith, shopping, anything like that. It goes off and it searches Google for a list of places where you can submit your URL. So what I would do now is go through all of these links, and some of them, not all of them, but some of them you'll be able to submit your link to, you'll be able to submit your website to, and then you'll be able to get a free link. Some of them might be paid directories, a few pounds a month. It's up to you to choose whether you want to use those or not. But this is another place of finding really, really great links from. So I would suggest that you do try this technique as well. Okay, so my other ideas, this one really, really works, is ask your suppliers. So if you were a manufacturer, for example, and you were the one making the brand of baby clothes, for example, then ask your suppliers to link to you, because they're obviously not going to mind doing that. And normally their website will be really highly ranked. So they won't mind, normally giving you a link back, and that would make your site much higher ranked. Other things you could try doing is creating really good blogs with videos and photos and then sharing it through social media. If you create something which is really good and which is of really, really high quality, somebody who does this extremely well is a lady called Leela Bullock, who runs a website called socialable.co.uk. Her website, she does a lot of like 101 tips to how to find this or to how to master this type of topic. Her blogs are so well researched that she gets hundreds of visits. She gets lots of people linking to her from other blogs. She gets lots of links given to her through hardly any effort other than she just spent a very long time creating some extremely good content. So I would strongly suggest that you consider that as a method as well. Some of you may have heard of infographics. So infographics are normally they present something like statistical information in a picture. Those quite often go viral as well, so they tend to get very widely linked to. You could try creating a white paper on a subject that you know a lot about, a white paper report, for example, that's free for download. If it's a really good report and it contains some very good results or case studies, then you will find that a lot of people will link to it saying, here's the authority on the subject. So you're trying to build yourself as an authority, and it means that you'll end up getting a lot of links back then. Okay, so then you can also look at high quality directories. So there is some free directories. So I do suggest you go and look at a website called freeindex.co.uk. So let's just go and demo that one. So freeindex.co.uk. That one is I love this website. It's free, obviously, the clue's in the name. So freeindex.co.uk is a directory site, so you need to find the relevant place to get yourself listed. But the links from here are, really powerful, so it's definitely worth being on there. Let me just send you that link, actually. I'll send you that in the chat box. So that one's called freeindex.co.uk, and that one's a free directory. There are paid directories such as business.com and the Yahoo directory that are quite expensive to get listed on, but they may be worth considering as well if you're in a very competitive niche. Okay, so and then finally, other things that you might want to try is commenting on other people's blogs. So if you comment on a blog, you might notice that you're asked to give your name and your website address. That link back to your website address does actually carry some power in Google's eyes, especially if it's the same niche as the one that you're in. So I suggest that you use the website search engine, or the social search engine, Topsy.com. So for those of you who are on my Facebook webinar, you will have heard about Topsy.com because I also demoed it then. So just quite simply Topsy.com. Let's say that I wanted to find some information to do with, let's say we were talking about my topic, so anything to do with SEO. So this is one of the tools that I use myself quite a lot. And let's say I wanted to find any blogs which are to do with SEO. So I would go and visit some of these. Okay, so these are all the latest tweets. Okay, so these are tweets from people that normally they're tweeting blogs. I would have a look through and try and find some blogs that were related to my, that were related to my niche. So let's have a look at these two I've opened. So does that one allow me to comment? Doesn't look like it, looks like a survey. So if this one allowed me to comment, so I might read through, and then normally there should be a place to leave a comment. So you would normally leave a comment at the bottom with your website address, but don't just leave a spammy comment, please, whatever you do. Make sure that you leave a very relevant comment so that the blogger approves it to start with, because if it's a spammy comment, then they may well remove it. So make sure you read the blog, add something useful, and who knows, you might end up, if you follow them on Twitter as well, you might end up being able to build a good relationship with that same person, and then also being able to guest blog for them, etc. Who knows where these things can go with social media. Okay, so I would strongly suggest that you look at Topsy. Okay, so if you've got a brand new website, so I was asked a question about this, so I thought I would include this. So if you've got a brand new website, how do you get it found by Google the very first time? The answer is you probably don't need to submit it the first time. So you'll see there's lots of tools that promise to, submit your website to 50 search engines and you've got to pay for the privilege. Normally I wouldn't suggest that you look at tools like that. Normally how we tend to do it is we just share links to the website through Twitter and Facebook. And what will happen is Google regards it as its job to index the whole of the internet. So Google finds the link, goes, oh look, a brand new website, and goes off and indexes it. But having said that, if you do want to submit them manually to speed up this process, let me send you these 3 links because they're quite long. Okay, so that's how to submit your website to Google, to Bing, and to Yahoo. Okay, so if you're really, really in a rush, then do that. But, as I said, we ourselves don't tend to use that method. Okay, so the processes that you would be following to get your website ranked fast, to get your website to the top as fast as possible. Identify your keywords. So we've mentioned and discussed keywords in detail. Creating meta tags based on the chosen keywords. Rewrite your page copy. So one thing I didn't mention was that sometimes you might need to lengthen the copy. If you've only got a couple of hundred words on the page, if possible, do lengthen it, and subheadings. Also consider adding a sitemap to your website. So we're not going to cover the technicalities of how to do that, but do ask your web designer, can you add a sitemap? It is very simple, straightforward to do. It just means that Google will know all about all of the pages on the site. And then start building links back to your website. So not too many, and don't do it too rushed. Mainly to the home page. So most of the links that you want to build, you'll be wanting to build them to the home page most of the time, and only very occasionally to the other pages. And that's again because of the Google updates. You don't want, there was a problem with lots of people doing link building to the sub-pages and not to the home page. This is one of the things that Google's looking for. So now we recommend mainly to the home page. Try and get several guest blogs per week published, and then just make sure you track your results. So Excel is probably fine to start with, so make sure that you're keeping a record of whereabouts you are in Google. Okay, so social signals. So just to very quickly, again, this is from a question that I was asked. So do install social signal tools on your website so that people can hit the Facebook like button, so they can hit the Google +1 button. So we suggest using something like, there's a WordPress plugin called Dig. Let me just spell that for you in the chat box a minute. So Dig. So that's a WordPress plugin that actually automates adding the social signal tool for you. Social signals do matter, so it's becoming more and more important. Not surprisingly, Google wants us to use Google Plus more often, but tweets and Facebook likes, they also count. They all help your SEO. So, don't regard these as separate things. A social media strategy is important to be running alongside your SEO. Okay, so next thing we're going to go on to is competitor analysis. So how to analyze your competitors and see what links they've got. So for this, we're going to use a tool which is called OpenSiteExplorer.org. Let me just send that link to you. Okay, just close up some of these pages. So OpenSiteExplorer.org, what it does is it will search and come up with a list of the links for your competitors or even for your own site. So I'm going to type in, for the purposes of this today, I'm going to type in one of my own websites. So www.helpwithppc.com, you would type in one of your competitors and then use that tool and just quite simply click in type search. Now what you would now do is have a look at the inbound links that they've got. Okay, so you would open one of these, each of these one at a time. Okay, so let's look at this link, let's look at this link. Okay, so you can see I'm right clicking, opening them all. And if this was our competitors, what I would be doing at this point is thinking, right, okay, they've got a link from this website, searchenginejournal.com. Okay, what type of link have they got? I believe this one is actually a comment. So I believe on here somewhere I've got a comment. Okay, so I won't bother looking for it. But all you need to do to copy them and to get a link is leave a comment on this website too. So you quite simply copy them. So I would copy that comment. This link, you can see it's from a YouTube channel. So if this was a competitor, I would think to myself, right, okay, I need to go and set up a YouTube channel as well, so that I've got a link from YouTube, which obviously Google owns YouTube, so it's obviously going to be a really highly powered link. So you go and get a link from YouTube as well. This blog, okay, this is the WordStream blog, right, okay, they've got a link from here too. I now need to go and get a link from this site as well, so you find out how, maybe leaving a comment, maybe writing a guest blog for them. And you basically just do this with their links. So you go through, you identify all of the links that they've got that you can copy. You won't be able to copy all of them, but some of them you'll be able to comment on the blogs and you'll be able to get the same powered link as them, or maybe you can write a guest blog for the same place that they've got a guest blog from. But can you see how if you did that for several competitors, if you did that for your top 5 competitors, you would become the sum of all 5 and you would very rapidly overtake them because you'd have the equivalent of all 5 of their links, you know, all 5 sets of links from them. So hopefully you can see how very powerful that method can be. Okay, so the things that you're going to want to avoid. Don't use automated submission services. So no creating thousands of identical articles or thousands of directory listings or anything like that. So try and avoid them at all costs. You're not going to want to keyword stuff or try and hide any text on the page. So lots of people were doing this before. You would try and, if you had a black background, you'd be writing lots of the text in black as well, thinking, oh, well, Google can't spot this, but they can. So they'd be trying to stuff lots of keywords in there, thinking that they could get their page ranked for all of the keywords. So no, absolutely not. You know, very, very dangerous. So no keyword stuffing. Do make sure that you're tracking your results right from the day you start so you can see if you're going up or down in Google and Yahoo and Bing. Don't use images in place of words. Now what I mean by that is sometimes the navigation for the website, let me go and see if I can show you an example. Sometimes the navigation for the website is in images rather than words. So can you see here how I've got the words home, dating, love, marriage, relationship, etc. Some people actually have these as images, and it's very important to make sure that they are actually words. So that's very important to go and double check that in your own site now. No buying links, okay, because Google will be able to find these type of things, although it's okay to pay for directory submissions. So directory submissions such as Yahoo, business.com, anything like that, those are fine. But if you'll get people like this sending you spammy emails all the time saying, do you want to buy links on this page and this page, etc., generally a bad idea. So do make sure that your website's easy to navigate and has got the links to the other pages. Okay, so make sure that the website's well linked and that you've got good linking amongst the website. do have a blog, if possible, on the main website and create good quality content. So you want to make sure that you've got your website being updated regularly with good quality content. And do use your footer, so the bottom of the website, as extra navigation if possible. So we've got, let's show you an example of a site with some bottom navigation. Okay, so we've got, for example, here we've got a link to some of our blogs. Okay, so you're going to want to use that bottom space at the bottom of the website to get some extra links in to the rest of your website. Okay. So here's what we've covered. We've covered choosing great keywords that are going to sell, and then exactly what to do with them to finish off your on-site SEO. How to build safe links, processes to follow, and then how to spy on your competitors to overtake them by becoming the sum of them all. Okay, so if you do need more help, then I've got two different options available for people. So I'm not going to go into them too much now because I do want to jump on to the questions and answers. But if you're interested in getting more training, I have got a training package which many of you are already members of. So let me just send you this link. Okay, so I've got training packages where I've got lots of videos recorded, private phone calls, and then ongoing weekly calls. But if you'd prefer not to do the work yourself and you'd prefer us to actually prepare a proposal to get it done for you, so if this all has overwhelmed you and you've decided that you'd prefer to have somebody take a look at it, that you don't have the time to do the link building and the work required, that's absolutely fine. We'd be delighted to give you a proposal. You just quite simply contact this email address and we'll quite simply get in touch to arrange your proposal. Right, okay, so I promised you, I'm going to jump now into questions and answers, but I did promise you I'd tell you where to get the recording. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the recording on this page here. So this one, what I will do is it will allow me to upload the recording as a video. Probably it'll take a couple of hours for me to do so. The recording will be on that page and then I'll leave it up for the next few days or so. So, right, let me go to questions and answers now. Okay, just opening the questions box. Okay, so just rattle through some of these. Florian says, what's the checkbox negative ideas? I can imagine that was when we were doing the keyword tool. That's only related to AdWords, so you can totally ignore that, Florian. Keith says, what's the difference between primary and secondary keywords? The primary keyword's your main keyword that you're going for on the page. Normally the most competitive, so it'll normally be the one with the most searches. So apologies if I didn't clarify that, Keith. But the primary keyword's normally the most difficult keyword, the one that's going to be hardest to get the page ranked for. And then the secondary keywords are going to be the easier ones. Lindsay says, will the webinar be available afterwards? Yes, it will indeed. Okay, so I will be placing the recording on that page that I've just sent you. Elisa says, would you put your brand name at the start of the title tag of every page? To be honest, Elisa, I probably would be tempted to put the brand name at the start of the title tag. Most of the time, yes, we would do. Unless the client had a strong preference for not doing it, in which case we wouldn't. So, you know, it is, as long as it's on the home page title tag, that would be fine. Andrea says, what happens if the meta tag's over 165? Am I going to be penalised? Well, you won't be penalised, but what will happen is what I showed you in that example, which is where it gets cut off. So it just looks a little bit odd when people are searching. And, of course, you've not got your call to action in there properly because it's been cut off. So, you know, it is a good idea to try and make it shorter if possible. Nick says, with or without the spaces on the characters are we counting? So, Nick, you would be counting 165 characters, including the characters, no, including the spaces. Marie says, is this for each of your keywords or just your primary one? Yeah, Marie, just the primary one is essential to get into the heading tags and into the meta description. The secondary keywords, do make sure you've got them in the text on the page. They're very important. Caroline's saying, why were those links crossed out? That'd be something to do with, I've got lots of SEO tools on the, that are running live on my computer at the moment, so there's nothing to worry about. Francesca says, are the right for us sites usually to be paid? They shouldn't be paid opportunities. Most of the time they're not, because that's not really the general ethos for guest blogging. So no, it wouldn't normally be paid. You might come across some people that do ask for payment though, so in which case it's up to you whether you choose to pay it or not. Okay. Elisa says, how do you find other real free directories that are valuable? Well, Elisa, you probably come across someone doing your competitor research. If you find your competitors listed on several directories, then you can pretty much presume that they are worth paying for or worth listing yourself on. So that'd be a good idea. So just do the competitor research. Florian says, would you recommend a German site going on freeindex.co.uk? Probably not, to be honest. See if there's a German equivalent. There might well be. Try and see if there's something similar in Germany. Andrea says, what happens if you can't fit 500 words per page on an e-commerce site? That's quite common, Andrea. We've had that before. It is much more difficult with e-commerce sites. You just try and fit on as many as possible. Sometimes you need to rejig the design of the page slightly so that you can fit some text maybe at the bottom as well underneath the products. So try and get some extra text in there if possible, but sometimes I appreciate 500 words is difficult. James says, are trackbacks or pingbacks worthwhile? Not really. It's not one of the things that you need to worry about too much. Louise says, I liked the look of the red hot web leads. Bless you. Yeah, that's my AdWords product. So yeah, more about that another time. Francesca says, how many keywords would you define to be keyword stuffed text? Well, if it was in there like 10 times, that would be a bit stuffed, to be honest. That's why I say just once or twice for each keyword, and that would be fine. What's the best way to track your SEO results? There's lots of different SEO tools. So sorry, this is a question from Jenny. To start with, I suggest all of you are just using Excel because it's obviously free. And then you'll probably want to move on to a rank tracking tool. There's lots and lots of different ones. So you just type in SEO tracking tool or rank tracking tool into Google. There's lots and lots of different ones. I've used several. There's no particular one I'd recommend at this stage, Jenny. Stephen says, can you find out how many site visits your competitor gets? You can get, this is a very good question, Stephen. So that's a very, you can get a very good measure of it by using the Alexa ranking tool. So let's try, let me show you my blog a minute. Okay, so you can get an idea of how many visits. So I've got something installed here called an Alexa toolbar. Now, Alexa shows you how many visits there are, how many people there are to this site with a measure. So this site has got an Alexa ranking of 164,000 and it's ranked 12,000 in the UK. Now if I click it, then it would normally take me to an estimate of some traffic stats. So you would be able to do the same on your competitor. So let's see. Okay, so it's even given me an estimate of the page views, how long they spend, the bounce rate. Okay, is it giving us a number of visits? Oh, I thought it did. It's been it's been at least a couple of months since I logged back into this, actually. Yeah, it's not telling me. Maybe it wants me to upgrade. Maybe that's been added as a pro tool. But yeah, Alexa is your best bet to try and find that out. So maybe give that a try. Okay, just scrolling through them. Some of them I realise I've already answered because they're similar questions to other people's. How can you avoid duplicate content if people repost your article, says Sarah. Excellent question. Really, unfortunately, there's very little you can do about it. If they repost the article with the link back to your site, then it's not something to worry about. And in fact, it could actually do you some good. And there is quite a lot of this happening on the internet, so you don't really need to worry about that too much if people choose to repost it, because of course you're the original source. So it's not going to do your site any harm. So not, I wouldn't be too concerned about that. So I'm just going to grab a very quick glass of water a minute. Right, apologies for that. I was getting a bit of a dry throat. Stephen says, are there any tips on SEO and social media for regulated firms such as financial advisors? Well, obviously you do need to be much more careful getting everything approved. So you would normally have a compliance department that would need to check through the type of tweets that you're sending or Facebook updates that you're sending. So that would be probably just checking with the compliance, whoever you're using for compliance, and checking what their thoughts on it are, so if they've got any policies or if they provide a checking over service. So that would probably be my first suggestion, Stephen. Paul says, if I'm linking between two websites, will circular linking between them help or hurt SEO of each site? Paul, is not a problem. I myself do this because I've got clairejarrett.com, helpwithppc.com, and I've got a couple of other sites that are all cross-linked, and they're all front page ranked in their various niches, and it's not causing a problem at all. So I wouldn't worry about it, Paul. Dean says, how long would you expect it to take using these techniques to get onto the first page of Google? It really does depend on the competitiveness of the niche. So there is no one right answer to this, unfortunately. It could take a couple of months. It could take a couple of years. It might not even be possible in your niche because it's too competitive. You might need to hire an SEO company because you need some very serious, hard-hitting link building. Done by professional SEO companies. It really does depend on the type of niche, unfortunately. Okay, Caroline says, any comments on subdomains and microsites? So microsites is something that I do cover in my course, which I've just sent you the link for. I have been doing a fair amount of experiments with this myself recently, and we have got 3 different microsites onto the front page, all of which went onto the front page for a variety of local terms within a week, and we've then been keeping them on there using a variety of link building. So they can work for slightly less competitive keywords, where you're going for slightly easier keywords. Probably unlikely to work for something like shopping or extremely competitive keywords. As subdomains, I don't have a huge amount of experience with subdomains, Caroline, to be perfectly honest. So to be honest, I don't have a lot to add there, other than to say, does it really need to be on a subdomain? I know that Google would treat the subdomain as a totally different website, so it needs to be optimized completely differently. Abdul says, can we do SEO for a Flash website? You can try. We've had difficulties in the past, to be perfectly honest, and we have suggested that people embed the Flash into HTML so that we could actually get some text and content on the page as well. So we've had sites which are Flash websites which we struggled to get ranked at all because Google couldn't read it. So it is much more difficult, unfortunately, Abdul. Marie says, do you suggest getting all the keywords in the text as H1 and H2? Or just the primary in the H1 and the others in the H2? Ah, right, Marie, sorry, I'll read the rest of the question. So yeah, probably the primary keyword in your H1 tag and then your other keywords in your H2 tags. Julian says, can you have too many examples of the main keyword on the page? Yes, you can, and it would be regarded as over-optimized just twice, probably, to be honest. That would be what I would stick with, so it doesn't look over-optimized, Julian. Elvira says, why would you blog? Why not just write on Facebook? Well, because the blog obviously is regarded as content, fresh content by Google, so that your site's regarded as, you know, it's dynamic, it's changing. People then go to your site from Facebook and from Twitter and hopefully leave you tweets and Facebook likes and Google +1s, etc., so that you've actually got social signals appearing on the website. You're far better than just Facebook. Facebook, of course, you don't own the Facebook fan page, but you do own your own website. So bear that in mind as well, is when investing in a Facebook page, is remember, you know, at any point it could get banned for any reason, etc. So, you know, there are dangers, whereas with your own site as well, you know, it's much easier to, you know, to have control over it. Okay, you're welcome. I've got lots of people saying thank you, or people saying that they need to dash. No problem at all. Let's keep scrolling through. I think I've... Okay, right, going to answer a couple more questions, then we're going to call it a day. In fact, let me also send you the link to our Facebook group as well. So some of you will already be in our free Facebook group. So, okay, because we've got quite a big community in there. Okay. So do come and join the group as well, and then you can always ask questions throughout the rest of, you know, just in case I've missed your question, etc., so you can get answered in the group. Luke says, in my H1 and H2, I use an image instead of text for my website. Is that bad? Yes, I would strongly suggest that you make sure that you're using text as H1 and H2. I have seen that before, and we have suggested that it gets changed, definitely. Gavin says, any SEO ideas for e-commerce product pages? Yeah, if it's an e-commerce website, normally you want to never use the same manufacturer description that you're given. Always rewrite it completely so that it's unique, because otherwise yours won't stand out amongst all of the other dozens of people that are stocking that same product. And, you know, ideally, if possible, do get unique images as well for the same reason. Okay. Yes, you're more than welcome to share the link to the video with friends. Does doing good SEO push you towards the top of the Google Maps as well, says Paul. The two are linked somewhat, but to get to the top of the Google Maps, you also need to do lots of listings to local directories of your name and address, so that Google sees you really are resident at that address, and that helps your map listing. So you ideally do find a lot of directories to submit to. So as well as doing traditional SEO, and then that will help you appear at the top of the maps, definitely. You're very welcome. I've got lots of people saying thank you, they need to dash, that's fair enough. Alan says, my website made it to page one on Google. He then revamped it and disappeared to page 5 using the same AdWords campaign. I've started reading that question, then realised that might actually be an AdWords question. Alan, I'm not entirely sure I understood that question, so maybe you could go and pop it in the Facebook group, etc. Maybe we could get a bit more clarification on that one. Once the keywords have been set up once for each page, is that it, or should they be changed or updated regularly? And if so, how often? Eric, you'd normally keep the same keywords once they've been selected. So you wouldn't normally keep changing them. To be honest, that would probably just confuse Google. So no, you would leave them. How often should I submit a Google sitemap, says Martin? Well, as long as your Google sitemaps actually changed automatically by your system, which it would do if it's WordPress normally, then the sitemap will just keep getting re-downloaded by Google all the time. So you yourself don't need to resubmit it. Google knows to go and where to look for it, as long as you've told it all about it in Webmaster Tools. Okay, so we won't go into that now because obviously that's too technical. Right, okay, so last question then. So Stephen says, do you have to register your keywords with Google? No, you don't have to register the keywords with Google. You're hoping that Google will actually pick up those keywords from the page using all the techniques that I've taught you today. Okay, so thank you very much, everybody. So we'll end it there. It would be great to see you all in the Facebook group. I will upload the recording very shortly and then be emailing around the link. So look out for emails from me. And I'll catch up with you all soon. So bye for now.